What's going on, boxing fans? It's Julian Williams with The Distance. As you can tell, I'm wearing my goofball hat today. My hair looks a little jacked up right now, and I don't feel like combing it just for the camera. So I'm just wearing this hat to cover the shit up. But anyway, I'm here to do my prediction for upcoming fight next week, or actually week after next week. It is Matt Godfrey versus Steve USS Cunningham. This is for the IBF, for the vacant IBF Cruiserweight Championship. The Cruiserweight division, doesn't really, to me, doesn't really stand out to me much. But me, I'm a boxing fan. I do watch, the Cruiserweight division. I watch, what I can when something of the Cruiserweight division is there. But the Cruiserweight division doesn't get much airtime, if you ask me. And a couple years ago, I thought the Cruiserweight division was possibly on its way to becoming, a huge division because, you had BJ Flores, you had David Hay, Tomas Adamek, Steve Cunningham, Marco Huck, and the other guy, I forgot his name, the one that got his ass knocked out by David Hay in like 2 rounds, Matt Granelli. You had some, formidable guys in the division. I thought that the Cruiserweight division would be a little more, above the surface, as you could say, or a phrase you could say for that. But unfortunately, it didn't happen. Because Adamek moved up to heavyweight, Hay moved up to heavyweight, Matt Granelli fell into obscurity. So now all you really have is BJ Flores, who is yet to fight for a major championship, and I don't even think it's fought this year, and Steve Cunningham. So anyway, on to this fight. Steve USS Cunningham versus Matt Too Smooth Godfrey. Really, what does this matchup bring? Well, you have one fighter who's very technical, and Steve Cunningham. Steve Cunningham, I think in this fight has all the physical advantages, if you ask me. He's about 6'3", has 82-inch reach, trained by Nazim Richardson, one of the most underrated trainers, perhaps in boxing, one of the most underrated. So pretty much, Cunningham has everything on his side, physically, and mentally in preparation for this fight. Cunningham, in this fight against Godfrey, has to use his jab. He has to, pretty much, if he wants to, he could jab his way to victory, because Matt Godfrey, with that style and how he has his hands set, with that style, he can't protect himself from a jab from Steve Cunningham. He cannot protect himself from the jab. And on top of that, other than using his jab, Cunningham could pretty much beat Godfrey fighting on the inside. Godfrey does not have the best footwork, if you ask me. He has good footwork, but it's not the best. He can't really dance around the ring. He can move, but at the same time he can get trapped and caught up on the ropes, and be easily suckered into certain shots. So I think Cunningham could pretty much beat Godfrey, using his jab and fighting him on the inside. One thing that Cunningham cannot do in this fight is throw a lot of unnecessary shots. He has to put his punches together very well in this fight. He has to, other than putting his punches together well, he has to, actually get his hand up, get his right hand back, or his left hand back up. Because, in the Adamek fight, there were times, he couldn't, he didn't get the left hand back up in time, and he got caught. Godfrey doesn't possess the same punching power as Tomas Adamek, but, Godfrey is more say a boxer than, Adamek. He doesn't really come forward. He doesn't really have, that, he doesn't really have, that the power in his shots. He has some pop, though he's not your typical knockout puncher. But at the same time, to be safe, to not catch him with a shot he doesn't see, because it's what you don't see that hurts you the most. He has to get that left hand up in time. Because Godfrey does have pretty good hand speed. And other than that, with Godfrey does kind of telegraph his right hand with the way he positions his body. But so I think that bringing the left hand up is very important in this fight for Cunningham. And I think that's pretty much his key to victory. Jabbing, working from the inside, and actually not even giving a chance for Godfrey to get some work done on him. Pretty much that's Cunningham's key to victory, and also putting his punches together very well. Matt Godfrey, this fight, Matt Godfrey, seen a couple fights with Matt Godfrey, and from his style, he does possess some good hand speed, but really, that's really all I see from him. He possesses good hand speed. He moves. He moves. He's not necessarily a stationary target, but at the same time, doesn't have the best head movement. And as I mentioned about a minute ago, Matt Godfrey does, telegraph his right hand. A lot of his shots are left hands, but he does this thing where he tries to sneak in the right hand, but he doesn't necessarily sneak in the right hand. It's because it's the way he positions his body, and because he positions his body differently when he throws his right hand. So really, in this fight against Steve USS Cunningham, Too Smooth has to pretty much outwork him. Really, how do you outwork a man with an 82-inch reach? How do you work underneath that jab? Well, you have to jab your way in. You have to pretty much come from the outside and use the jab, to kind of defend yourself from a jab. And on top of that, he has to pretty much, jab his way in to get his work done. Like, really, what Godfrey needs to do is he needs to, throw his left jab multiple times and then try to work his way on the inside of that 82-inch jab that Cunningham has. I think a lot of in and out, coming in and getting his shots off will pretty much could win Godfrey points in this fight. High work rate, at least try to make Cunningham fight from an angle. But on top of that, stay on the outside. Or not necessarily stay on the outside, but kind of stand within the range and take the jab away from Cunningham. Stand within that range. So it takes the jab away from Cunningham and makes Cunningham want to fight on the inside. But when he wants to fight on the inside, Godfrey can get his shots off because he has good hands or a quick hand speed. So I think that's really the way to win the fight. Is working and fighting smart. And that's the way for any fighter to win a fight. But Godfrey has to be very smart in this fight. He like I said earlier, he's not a knockout puncher. All of his victories are like by technical knockout. So really, what he will have to do if he wants to knock out Cunningham is he has to overwhelm him with shots. And if Godfrey actually knocked out Cunningham, I bet you it would be in the last round if he was to knock out Cunningham. But my prediction for this fight, I'm gonna go with Steve Cunningham. Unanimous decision. He's been on a roll lately. Unfortunately, didn't get his rematch with Adamek, but now I think he's ready to be the king of the cruiserweight division. He has a victory over Marco Huck, another somewhat highly touted cruiserweight who has he has a big fight against Adam Richards coming up. But now he's a titleist, and there's another titleist I can't think of at the top of my head right now. But I think Steve Cunningham overall is probably the best cruiserweight in the division. And I see him winning this fight by unanimous decision, becoming the new IBF Cruiserweight Champion. But anyway, that was the distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.